All right. Hello, Aries. So great to see you. Thank you to some of the familiar faces I see here for actually joining me early. I know that this new time that is temporary, by the way, is a little tricky to kind of track, so thank you so much. But it's so much nicer to not hear all of the construction noises, correct? I'm in the process of trying to find a new place, so until I do that or until the construction is done, we'll keep a slightly earlier time. So welcome everybody. First of all, we're going to look at your monthly forecast here, which is great for sun, rising, moon, and Venus. I was just talking about the time changes. So do follow me on social media if you haven't already, because I'll make sure to update you on all of the upcoming movements and shifts in the schedule as necessary. And of course, hit that subscribe button and opt into notifications there as well. And I'll make sure that I post updates on the community page as well. Sorry, I had the mic slightly away from me, so hopefully you can hear me now. Yeah, this month, for whatever reason, we have a couple of units that have opened up in my apartment building, and there's a lot of noise. So I wanted to start it earlier so it could just be us and none of the construction sound that kind of like drilled through the Pisces reading. So anyway, again, welcome Aries. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to take a look at the next 6 weeks or so. Basically, that's what this forecast will cover. And the format that I use is right here. Basically, I like to begin with channeled messages, and that comes through spirit and dreams, and then I kind of interpret and package it for you. Then we'll look at the Celtic Cross, and then after that, I always expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, which gives us not only sort of like what spirit wants to bring, but also those areas that I know you care about. And then you can see the rest here. I'm adding something special in the mix where I've kind of made this a universal part where we're going to look at the sun, rising, moon portion separately. Like I'll pull out some additional messages as well, just in case you are looking for one of those aspects of your chart. Okay, so let's get into the channeled messages. One last thing before I do that, if you want to show some support in real time, you can do that with a super sticker or super chat, and I will acknowledge that at the end. So thanks in advance to anybody that wants to do that. I'm a little bit late in putting up the schedule for this month. I will do that this week, midweek, and make sure that you guys have all of that. And again, the times could change this month because of all of the construction. I eventually hope to get it back to 9 a.m. Pacific, but for now it's a little earlier. All right, so let's talk about your channeled messages for today. And there's a couple messages in dreams that I may pull through if we have some time here, but the meditation was the thing that I kind of connected with the most, so we'll talk about that first. So while I was walking the dog, I heard some crickets, or I think they were crickets, this morning, and that kind of got me to thinking about that particular totem, which I haven't highlighted in a little bit of time. And I was like, let's do some research and let's see how this might apply to you. So just one totem today, the cricket, but there's a lot to kind of unpack with this one. And I love sort of learning new things every time I look into a totem, and I definitely got a lot out of this. All right. First of all, they live almost everywhere. They're distributed all around the world, except I guess at the latitudes of 55 degrees or higher. And then they have the biggest sort of distribution in the tropics. They're found in trees, in bushes, in caves, in water. They're like all over the place, basically, which is very cool when we're looking at a totem, because for you, it means you have the energy of the Fool on your side. If you're willing to sort of take a risk or travel in a different direction, you can thrive there. So we always want to find a particular totem where it can kind of like go anywhere it needs to. So I definitely see the energy of the Fool here. So what I wrote in the blurb here was that it's easy sometimes to dig your heels in, and you just want to kind of keep things the way they were, basically a very conservative approach. But the Fool comes in to shake the tree a little bit, shake things up and say, you have everything that you need in here and in here, and then for the Fool in their knapsack. One of the things that is very cool about the Fool is it can travel lightly, and oftentimes we get sort of bogged down in the material world, the materials around us, this idea that we need all of this stuff. When at the end of the day, it's our health, it's our ability to take care of ourselves, our brain, and it's really your head that's going to help you get through any situation. You can call home wherever you want to. Basically, if you have the person that you love or the people that you love, or if you're doing something that you love and it's with you, that's home. This is just a building, something that I've even been learning as the construction's going on. I'm like, it's time. So whether you're looking to move like I am, or looking to explore, or the universe is presenting you with some opportunities and challenging you to entertain that, the Fool is coming through to say, give it a try, see what happens. So look in all directions and at all possibilities. The reason I say that is the only thing that can get in the way of the Fool's ability to adapt or thrive is not paying attention. And that's what that little dog is doing. Ironically, now Apollo's relaxed in the background, but the dog kind of sometimes tugging at the heel of the Fool is saying, hey, wait a second, look at this, or where are we going? So there's always that sort of inner conscience, which is going to come through with the cricket, and more with the cricket and Pinocchio in just a second. So anyway, I love all of the aspects here of the Fool, which is trying to push us out of our comfort zone a little bit. So are you ready? Are you open? And if you are, then I think that there could be some exciting twists and turns in the road ahead for you. Okay? Of course, we have to look at the cricket song. That's actually what made me think of it this morning. First of all, there's a misconception that they rub their legs together. It's actually their wings, and there's these comb-like structures that are on the wings that help make the noise. And there's many different songs in their repertoire. It's not just one. Whether it's a mating call or it's, sometimes it's even changing based on the temperature of the environment. There's a lot of different things that could affect it. The most important thing that I think of with the cricket is how loud it is and that it carries. If you've ever had one in your house, you can hear it and it will drive you nuts until you figure out which room it's in and hopefully help it get back outside. The fact that the comb sort of mechanism is what makes the noise had me thinking about combing through things, because you're hearing that and it's sort of saying like, listen, look, what's going on? So if you have any sort of burning question in your heart, in your head, get to the bottom of it. Use your voice, use your throat chakra to kind of communicate and say what it is that you need to say or ask the question. You may be, we'll talk a little bit later in this presentation here, but you may be the only voice of reason, or you just may see something that needs to be brought to other people's attention. Now, because your voice has the ability to rise above the rest doesn't mean that it's always, noise can just be noise. So what we want to do is effectively sort of make sure that the message is packaged based on the audience. So I'm not asking you to change what you're saying. I'm encouraging you to adjust it so that it best sort of fits the audience. Because if you, for example, let's imagine that you are you're in a partnership or you're married or something and you need to say something to your partner versus to your child. There's going to be very different ways of communicating that information to an adult versus a kid. Same thing is true if you're working at a job and you're going to convey something to a coworker versus a boss. Because of levels of experience, because of hierarchy, because of openness, we want to make sure that the message is either more or less detailed. Maybe there's more sensitivity when you deliver it to other people, etc. The cool thing is you're heard, you're being seen and heard with this symbol. Let's just try to make sure that you take an extra minute or two to think about what it is you want to say before you say it so that we can stay with the Queen of Swords upright versus reversed. Nothing wrong with reverse, but she can come across a little bit sharper there. And so I want to try to keep the upright queen here for this particular totem. You may be the voice of reason, or you may be listening to that voice of reason within. So your conscience is coming through. I did a little research on Pinocchio because I had a gut feeling that the Disney version was cleansed, and it was. If you go to the original version, there is a talking cricket, and the thing is, it doesn't have as happy a story as the Disney version. Apparently, it tried to talk to Pinocchio and tell him that he wasn't doing the right thing, and Pinocchio then hit him with a mallet, I think. But then the cricket haunted him and kept advising him whether he liked it or not. So I kind of like that. I mean, that's crazy. It's more like a grim fairy tale when you sort of go back to the roots of it. It wasn't sanitized there. And I kind of sometimes think that there's something to be said for the darker fairy tales because they do teach us a lesson about things. You can't sweep the truth under a rug. It comes back and it haunts you. So justice is coming through this time to say, cosmic justice finds a way. You may think someone got away with something or you can get away with something, but basically the scales of justice always come through, even if it's karma and it then comes through later in this lifetime, next lifetime, or it's instant karma where you spill something on yourself after you laugh at someone or whatever. The timing is up to sort of like how and when it's going to best suit you, and when, kind of like what we were talking about a minute ago, when you're going to be most receptive to the lesson. So if you feel inclined to do something because it feels like it's the right thing, listen to your voice. If someone else in your life is unready or unwilling, that's more on them. If you're doing the right thing because it is the right thing, then you just have to kind of follow through on that and trust, okay? Trust that it's going to be okay. And timing is everything too. So if it is the right time to do it, do it. And if other people aren't on board, then this is also sort of the litmus test that you need to understand who your true allies and advocates are and who is just there like as a fair weather friend, etc. Okay? So do the right thing basically with this. Taking a leap of faith is going to be also very important. This particular totem is in the same family or related to like grasshoppers and other jumping insects. So I love that they can both jump and fly. To me, that really connects to the world card, which is all about expansion, seeing things from a different point of view, and not staying still. And I do think that it's more the when, it's not an if for you. When are you ready to expand or go to that next level? This month is really powerful because right now, if you're watching me live, we're not yet in retrograde. I think we hit it around the 10th or the middle of the month here, but you have some time to assess, to center yourself, and to think, what do I want to do next? How can I be most powerful or effective in this next step or phase of the journey? So put that vision down on paper, put it into action. And this is really what this month is affording you the opportunity to do, okay? And even if you watch this in the middle of retrograde, sometimes you don't have a choice but to move. That's coming through for me too this month because it's now affecting my ability to do what I want to do here. So I'm going to be looking for a place in the middle of retrograde. But to me, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, so it's okay. Retrograde is a chance to clean things up. So whether you are finishing something that you started or doing something that you procrastinated on or adjusting to a shift in your life, retrograde is just there to move you. It doesn't mean that you can't do all of these things. It just means that there's going to be some hiccups. You want to pay attention to contracts and communication and technology and all of that. But typically, once this sort of stuff is already happening, all you have to do is continue to move and move wisely. And that's really what we're looking at for you. And that kind of is a nice segue into, I believe, the final message for today, which is to create momentum. Because I was looking into an interesting feature of the crickets. They have ears located on their legs. And to me, it shows me that they have to listen to where they want to go if we're looking at this figuratively, not literally. So you can also think about like hindsight or listening to something, wishing you would have listened to yourself as you're kind of looking back at the past or whatever. So here's what I would say. You don't have time for regret and you don't have time to overthink things. Let energy take you in the direction that it wants to. Allow your creative flow to come through as well, your channel. You wouldn't be tuning into me if you didn't have the ability to tap into creativity. But sometimes you just have to let it go through you, or sometimes you have to move through a situation. This creates the momentum that is the Wheel of Fortune. Try not to limit scope or possibility before it sort of reveals itself. And I feel like for many of us this month, this is a time to allow things to take shape, to take form, and to move with that. So everything that I've been tapping into this morning for Aries is all about kind of like allowing the flow of energy, almost as if you were in the middle of this gigantic river, to bring you to the next destination, to stay awake, to spread your wings, to kind of look around, to just really embrace what's possible. I think if you allow this to happen, this could be a very engaging month, that the changes that come through are going to be positive ones, that anything that retrograde brings is going to be really a chance to sort of clear and clean the slate And who could ask for something more than that? I think it's going to be exciting to look at the cards here. All right, so let me, I'm going to select some decks here. If you have any sort of suggestions, go ahead and you can put them there, and I'll consider adding them to what you can vote on here. I think I'm drawn to put Star Seeker as one of them. Let's see. We just used Light Seers. Actually, no, we didn't on the weekend, so I'll put Light Seers here as well. Speaking of fairy tales, maybe Tarot of the Divine. And let me see if there's any other suggestions here, but I'm going to kind of go shopping here on the side and see if there's one that I haven't used in a little bit. So let's see here. How's everybody's month starting off? It's always a pleasure to begin it with you. I hope you're doing well. All right, so let's take a look here. Yeah, I did put Afro-Goddess on the weekend, but somebody complained that I use it too much. I'll put it here for consideration. Let me see. I think this is a good selection. Okay, so here's what I have in mind, and you can tell me if you like these. Okay, so I have Star Seeker, the Light Seers, Tarot of the Divine, which does have fairy tales since we were kind of hitting on those, and then Afro-Goddess. So if you like those, let me know. Oh, Andre had a good choice with Fountain. I could swap this for the Fountain Tarot because it's been a minute. So maybe I'll do that. That's a good suggestion. Let me just take a look at that. All right, last minute change. Okay, this is good. This is good enough for us to get started for today. I feel like we got a nice cross section with these. Okay, so let me just get everything set up here. So put a poll here for you in just a moment. We're going to look at Fountain, Light Seers, and Tarot of the Divine, and Afro-Goddess. So we got a few old standbys, and one that I haven't used in a long time, the Fountain one. So I'll show you some of these here while we're getting set up here. Okay, so let me just give you some quick sort of like views of this. So this is the one that Andre suggested. It's a really good one, and I haven't used it in a while. It's Fountain. It has some very abstract sort of like soft imagery, not at all your traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. Yeah, probably one of my favorites and not often used. So beautiful choice. I like it a lot. These are all very different, so you've got plenty of choices here. This one is just a great modern take on Rider-Waite-Smith. This is option number 2, Light Seers deck. I think most of you have seen this one before. And then this one is based on fairy tales and has a very cool color palette to it. Also just beautiful imagery as well, okay? So this is Tarot of the Divine, and then Afro-Goddess, which all of you are familiar with. So take a moment and decide which one you would like me to use today. And I agree, Fountain's one that we haven't seen in a long time. So I'm hoping you get, yeah, it looks like 44%. I'm very happy with that choice, and I'm glad that Andre suggested it. It's one that gets underused here in rotation, so when we have a smaller crowd like we do today, I can kind of ask for some input. So, all right, everybody. We're going to take a look now at the Celtic Cross. Thanks for joining. This is going to be, again, for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Happy May. We'll be looking at June here, but it's, again, a great way to kick off the month. If you need to look at any of the May forecasts, they're all available on the main channel page. Also, if you didn't join on the weekend because you forgot about the time, or you didn't see my bonus reading for the new moon and the new month, this would be a good time for you to check both of those out. As I said earlier, the upcoming schedule will be posted this week. Thanks again to everybody's sort of flexibility with the time change. I haven't had to do this in like 7 or 8 years, but it was this or contend with construction noises, and I would much prefer interrupt the normal schedule than have that kind of interruption. So I just appreciate your flexibility. Okay, we have a bunch of cards sticking together today, which is interesting. So lots of messages that want to come through. And let's get started. I'll just try and organize that a little bit. All right, we're going to begin with your Catalyst card here, which is something that always is more challenging than it seems like, right? So first of all, the Catalyst acts as a way for us to break through something, to create some action, to get that Wheel of Fortune momentum started, which we were talking about in the channeled messages. So here we have acceptance from Lord Ganesha, who helps us move through blocks in our life. So not always easy to do, but important. To me, it's interesting. Like I highlighted the Justice card, but to me, justice and judgment, usually they're like cousins or sister cards because you kind of need both. Justice is when you're sort of sitting there and trying to understand, trying to come to the decision, knowing what's right, but there's this action that needs to happen. It's usually, you can infer from it that it will happen soon, or it's under, it's almost happening. But judgment is when you really know, okay, I know what I need to do, and you can accept it, and you can kind of move forward. So, and that's also why it's so close to the end of the major arcana. I would actually say it's more important to accept. And to me, judgment has more of the acceptance, where justice is the consideration or sometimes the delivery of the cosmic justice, but the judgment card is truly sort of allowing it to sit with you. So have you accepted it? Knowing what's right versus like believing it and doing it and integrating it, that's truly the big sort of opportunity for you, is accepting. And is that like one of the last stages of grief too, I think, right? The 5 stages, acceptance is the last. So it's because we have to kind of go through everything. So some of you may be grieving, some of you may be, I would just say any change in your life constitutes that sort of 5 stages sort of thing. So if you've decided that you need to move on to a new job, you need to move on to a new apartment, that you need to get out of a relationship, if you've lost someone or something in your life, the last stage is sort of saying, yeah, okay. Because then you're ready for the world, right? Then things start to open up. But the acceptance is the hardest part. I'll try to help you navigate through things this month so that you can embrace, might be even a better word for it, like embrace the possibilities and embrace the reality, okay? So that's what this month is shaping up to be, at least on a catalyst level. Let's dig into the cards and see additional messages that they may convey, okay? Let's see, all the stages can bounce around in ones. You're right, Andre. One thing that, because I was doing some research, as you know, I just recently went through loss in my life. Not everyone goes consecutively through the different phases. Some people are just more prepared. And so you may be someone that jumps straight to acceptance, or they may all go out of order. But I will say the acceptance piece for you, the sooner you sort of accept something, the easier things will be. One thing that comes to mind as I kind of read that comment also is that you shouldn't have to accept something that doesn't meet your criteria. So judgment and justice coming together here are saying, like, if it's not right, then I reject it. And that's okay too. So if there's someone that's trying to get you to do something that doesn't feel authentic, you're going to listen to your inner voice, just like we were talking about with the talking cricket, not Jiminy Cricket, but like the traditional Pinocchio one that's coming through to try and help us. Okay? All right. Let's look now at the cards, going straight to the center. 3 of Wands, which is one of my favorite cards to come through in any spread, matching the bright color of my shirt here today. 3 of Wands is in reverse, but I'm not bothered by that because 3 of Wands and 4 of Wands carry with them very positive energy that really doesn't get muted on a reversal. It says that it's either subtle or not obvious, or maybe happening just out of sight. So the 3 of Wands to me already tells me that it's underway. When it's reversed, it's saying that you could be looking in the wrong direction. You could be disbelieving the signs and signals that are indicating progress is underway. And you may also be doing things to slow it down yourself, because in this 3 of Wands, very different from what you would normally see, we see a person, it almost looks like they have a rope, like a cowboy, right? Or cowgirl. And they're kind of like getting ready to lasso in what they want, which, by the way, to me, I really appreciate for Three of Wands, because it is an active energy. A lot of times with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, we see a sort of passive nature to it where the person's on the hill. Modern decks a lot of times show an intercept where you're halfway there, or in this case where you're actually working the energy and saying, yeah, I see it, but I'm also going to make it happen even faster. So you are the one that's kind of either slow down or speed up the manifestation of something. So it could be, again, here and here. If you believe that it can happen, that opens it up. If you believe that it could happen now, that opens up that possibility. If you think that it's going to be hard, then you're welcoming in challenges. Preparing for worst case scenarios is okay, but focusing solely on the fact or the idea, not necessarily the fact that these things could be difficult, it starts to just create levels of like obscurity and obfuscation. It makes it difficult. So try not to make things more difficult than they need to be, and entertain the possibility or probability that things could move even more quickly, or they may be underway. So that's exciting to me. That tells me that if you've been trying to do something, it's much closer than you thought. It could be much easier than you anticipated, and it may already be within reach. So something's closer than you thought. And like I was talking about with the Fool and that little puppy on the Fool card, take a moment to kind of look around and really assess the situation and the environment, because you could be happily or pleasantly surprised by it. This card is being crossed by the Page of Cups. Let's look closely at this card and see what messages might be unpacked from this. So it's interesting that in the Fountain Tarot, there's a lot of like boxes and shapes. And in this particular one, we can see someone kind of like putting this on top of the box. So I would almost say that trusting your emotions, especially if they're out of the box sort of emotions, that's good. What am I talking about with this? Well, let's say that you are inspired to do something that nobody in your family or group of friends kind of understands, but you're kind of marching to the beat of your own drum. Your heart is saying, and your heart is that drum, it's saying, I feel passionate about this. Everyone wants to put me here, but I want to go over there. Listen to that inner calling. The Page of Cups is also a highly receptive card. So to me, this tells me that you have the ability to infuse messages, because all the page cards, even if they're not swords, they're about communicating or bringing something to the masses. So the key to the success here is the emotional delivery. So wands would be the cognitive delivery. Swords would be more about choosing the right words, and pentacles would be data. But cups is about emotion. So in your presentation, in your communication this month, the most important thing is, one, do you believe what you're saying? Two, are you tapping into, and this is really it's connecting to what I said earlier, but are you tapping into what other people feel? You can't ignore the emotions in the room. So if there's a stressful or low morale sort of situation going on, before you get into how to fix it, you have to acknowledge it's been rough. I know you've been going through a lot. I'm going through that too, and I want to work on it with you. Let's find a common, So basically put yourself in other people's shoes and let them know. And if you can't do it, let's say you lack a common experience, you could start by saying, there's a lot that we need to work on, but I want to hear what's on your mind. Or you could say, I've been listening, because if it's a presentation, you don't want to kind of derail it. But make sure that somehow you're acknowledging the way that people are feeling. And then use that as a sort of jumping board, a springboard to get to the next level. But it has to start with emotion. And then if you think of really great communicators and great marketing campaigns and great leaders, they are able to tap into the pulse of a situation, right? And a lot of times when we look at advertising and marketing, it isn't about what makes sense, it's about what sounds or feels good, right? So the emotion is where the power is this month, and that's what the Page card is saying. And that's why you can make things happen more quickly. This is the key. So this was saying, hey, things are happening at a faster pace than you could even imagine. And you can you can kind of ride that wave if you go into the emotional energy of it, right? Ultimately, the page here also kind of like focusing on the heart space is saying, I have to use this as my filter this month. So when you're talking to me, I'm going to filter it through the heart. Does it feel right? Your words can deceive, but my heart usually won't deceive me on that. So I'm going to go through the filter of the heart. And when I speak, I'm going to kind of make sure that the heart is included, and then I'll put it through the throat chakra. So use this as your litmus test, as your filter. Obviously, we're not talking about putting like higher energy, love, integrity, and optimism, all of that. We're not going to go to the lower frequencies, which can even be in the heart, like jealousy or anger, or any of that. We're going to go higher with it and really allow for those high frequencies to be the test that we need to sort of filter out and figure out like what matters and what doesn't. All right, let's look at the lesson. The deep past in this month, a retrograde period, is always, I would say, arguably the most important card, because if you haven't figured this one out, it's going to be the only thing that comes through. It will be the block this month, okay? So Queen of Wands, one of my favorite cards. We'll give it a second to come through. So the Queen of Wands is the great thinker. She is the sort of like, she can sometimes have some of the energy of the magician or the high priestess, because she can take you by surprise. She isn't limited by what others expect. And basically all of these things are going to come through and help you. So my advice to you is to do the unexpected, to follow your inspiration and your integrity, and you have the ability to be a great leader. So this month, if you've been putting some of that on the back burner, let's say you've had this burning desire to take the lead, to speak up, to organize things. If you've had an idea and people aren't listening, or you haven't articulated it, this is the month for your ideas and your leadership to take center stage. Because if not, someone else could come in, and then it's going to be like a power struggle. So you want to get ahead of that this month and speak and say what's on your mind, and really own something if you want to see it done, because she's a born leader. And she's really good at, again, organizing, championing, and also sort of like pushing forward anything that needs to be pushed forward. All right. So that would be my advice there, is to take the lead. And when it comes to like communication and leadership, my guides want me to talk about being a boss, because she is the boss card. Being a good boss doesn't mean that you just boss people around. It's about embodying the things that you want others to embody, basically leading by example, and believing in yourself, so that when you start to talk about something or start to do something, people can have faith in you. If you lack the confidence, and if you lack the belief or the conviction, then it makes leadership difficult. So those things could be the test that come through for some of you this month. Do you believe in yourself? Do you have the conviction to carry this through? And are you walking the walk, or are you just talking the talk? So all of those things are a part of that deep past message. We have the Seven of Cups reversed here in the recent past, which has to do with deciding. So in the upright position, it's all about consideration, looking at new things, maybe this, maybe that. When the reversal comes through, it's saying, all right, I may not have as much time. The luxury of time may not be on my side, or maybe I have too many things that are kind of like in front of me, and I need to find organization to them. Because Seven of Cups can be confusion, it can be distraction, it can be being overwhelmed by everything. If you don't have the capacity to organize, you can bring in someone to organize. If someone's throwing too much at you, you can say, slow down. That's a lot. What's the most important? And that's actually, I would say, the key thing here would be to kind of look at it by priority. how can I make a difference here? Where's the most important thing that I need to kind of focus on? What deadline needs to be addressed first? What inspires me? So when you have a bunch of things in front of you, put some bullets down. 3 or 4 is it. Look at timeline, budget, inspiration, who actually has the authority to even ask you to do something, and then look at the stuff again and put it in little stacks. So it's kind of like puzzle pieces, and you're trying to figure out which pieces are probably filling out which part of the puzzle, right? That's kind of what I would do if I have a bunch of pieces in front of me. I try to see, is this the foreground? Is this the background? Is this the person? And you start to see a pattern to the chaos. So you are going to, the Queen of Wands can also be like project management too. So she's trying to figure out what's the order to the chaos. How can I kind of be the person that's doing the cat herding here and getting everyone on the same page? So that could be part of this too. Limit scope, find some organization, get the deadlines, get the resources all sorted out. And that may be the management. It may not be like a traditional boss thing. It's sort of like, I'm going to sort out my life. I'm going to sort out this situation. And I just have to ask myself a few questions as I go through it. And you'll know the questions when the time comes. Okay? All right. So we have the Queen of Swords here in the crowning position. So first you find the order, then you communicate it. And I wish that, you know, like this, there was a manual to communication or just being a good leader, good person, but the order of this actually makes a lot of sense. So you have to know yourself, you have to believe in something, you have to understand something before you talk about it. And that is the most important piece that I've seen so far, actually this month. If we look at these, so this is your deep past, this is present, this is your state of mind or state of being. So this helps you. This is such a great foundational card, the Queen of Wands, to get you to the Queen of Swords. And then people will understand what you're saying with the Three of Wands. So organization of thoughts is everything. So the reason I get up right now for the 6 a.m. one at 3, first of all, so I can shower and walk the dog, but I need at least an hour to prepare. Before, if you ever wondered what went into this, I actually prefer to have 2 hours or an hour and a half. I need to meditate. Walking the dog is part of this too. It's just sort of like, what are we going to talk about today? What am I going to do? And then as I'm showering, I'm thinking about other things. And then I sit down and I do some research. And then I need about an hour to get all of those slides and everything together. So I need a couple hours to organize my thoughts and to get into a place where like I'm awake and my voice is warmed up and I know what I'm doing and I've channeled and I've lit all the candles. Organize. I don't just come on and click go live. So there's pre-production, there's production, there's post-production. So just like someone that's doing what I'm doing, you're going to have the organization, the execution, and the cleanup. So do the homework. Do that homework and organization first. It makes a difference. Yes, you can go and roll with it and you might be put on the spot. You're going to be fine. But like by and large, it makes a lot more sense to have that prep time in order to get things going in the best possible way. All right. But this also is the cricket. The Queen of Swords is the ultimate cricket connection here because it's about the voice. And that's what I was talking about in the channel messages. This is a really cool sort of imagery here. We see her sort of cutting through the dimensional energy. It reminds me of Dune, actually more of the traditional Dune, the sort of like, what is it? The force field that they have when they're kind of like jousting and everything. They have an element of that in the new one with Timothée Chalamet. But that's kind of what I see here is some of you are trying to cut through people's protective shields or their sort of the boundaries that they're putting up and not wanting to hear things. So one thing, if we kind of go with the Dune universe, is it's the slow and steady knife that kind of cuts through. So when it comes to communication for you, I think that not going about something too hastily, continuing to sort of drill in on one point and going at it from different angles is going to be what eventually sort of gets into someone's thick skull, penetrates that sort of boundary that they put up there. So slow, deliberate, consistent, persistent, that kind of communication will get through, even the most difficult audience. So the Queen of Swords doesn't relent. She's going to continue to push, to stand up for herself. She will protect herself too. That's why the shield is there. But basically, words are powerful, and they can actually get through other people in a way that they wouldn't anticipate. So words actually are more powerful than traditional like weapons, because think about when someone says something to you, it ricochets in your head, right? And that's why I want you to elevate communication, and I believe that you have the capacity this month to have a breakthrough with someone or something if you think it through before you speak. So think before you speak, continue to kind of like have that same message, and you will find the right person, the right audience, and the right time this month if you do that. All right. Looking at near future, we have 8 of Wands. This is a great card. Also, great illustration on this one too. So first of all, this looks to me like train tracks or a road. We see a horizon, a traditional, for those of you like art, you can see these two, it's hard to do it backwards here, but like you can see the two sort of lines creating a horizon. It looks like we have the beautiful rising sun in the background. Let's talk about what 8 of Wands means, but means, first of all, when I'm looking at this particular interpretation, that you're on the right path. 8 of Wands is a hidden community card. There's usually a lot of people that make something happen. So since we're kind of looking at the world of production here with this particular reading, in production, there is so many different roles, and there's so much going on behind the scenes. So when you watch a movie, if you listen to an album, if you are watching something on the internet, typically there are multiple people that are a part of a team that make it happen. So your opportunity this month is to acknowledge that it takes a village to get things done. So if you're in a family, there's a lot of support. Lean on them, thank them, sharing the success with them. Same thing would go for any work situation or anything in your life. Celebrate success collectively, share the accolades, acknowledge the contributions. This is going to help you maintain that momentum that we talked about. There's a lot of different things in motion. In some decks, you'll see what looks like rockets for this particular card. And it's almost as if a bunch of people threw these sort of ideas and energies out into the universe, and then it's sort of like, let's just keep it going. Let's see what happens next. So your job is also kind of like that of a conductor, making sure that everyone's in tune, making sure that everything's organized. So whether you want to think of this as a boss, a project manager, a conductor, there's coordination that has to happen to make sure that those 8 wands don't collide. So make sure that you stay coordinated, and you can ask for help, because like I said, the way that I envision the 8 of wands is that multiple people are throwing those wands up. So you want to stay coordinated in the effort. You want to make sure that even if you're just teammates, you have to talk, you have to communicate. So there's a lot of people involved. You can keep this positive energy going in the right direction. And if you do that, it's a great card that's in the near future. 8 of wands portends good things, particularly when it comes to business, whether you're part of a team or doing it on your own. 8 of wands tells me that it's predictable. You start to see the ability to sort of like plan out maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. More than that, hopefully, if you're looking at your own business, maybe a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. So planning and coordination are so important this month. A lot of sort of practical stuff coming through for you, Aries. So some of you you're busy, you're balancing a lot, but you're going to be fine. I want to check in on your emotions in a second when I'm looking at the environment card, but everything else tells me that you're going to be okay. All right. Let's actually jump to the next card here, which basically is supporting what we just talked about. We have 6 of wands, and 6 of wands is success. Now, as I look at this particular 6 of wands, it reminds me of an Olympic athlete, the one that kind of like has to, if you're jumping over the, whatever that tall bar is, and you're kind of like throwing yourself over. You have to be flexible. Like there's javelin, and what's the other one? You can type it out in chat. It'll come to me in a second here. But basically, flexibility is going to be key to success. But don't bend so much that you are somehow sacrificing vision or integrity. So they captured kind of like the best of both worlds on this particular card, because Yes, it's good to sort of be flexible. Yes, it's good to bend and go with the flow. But if there's something that it's part of your vision and you don't want to let go of that one piece because you take that out and it's no longer what you were doing, the pole jumping or vault, thank you, then you want to be mindful of that, because if you lose the heart or soul of something, then it's like empty success, right? Those of us that are artistic understand that. I was looking at a video for the author of Heartstopper, and she self-published the web sort of comics first that ended up being the Netflix show. And I think that's great, because as a self-published artist, I totally got it. And she was like, she finally got traditionally picked up by a publisher, but she said it was so important for her to find a publisher that wouldn't change things too much. They even kept like her illustrations, the cover of the book and everything like that. So there's an example of, and I even went to her Goodreads page today, and she was giving advice to teens that wanted to write YA books. And she's like, just write the book that you want to hold in your hands. So we could take like a lesson from that kind of approach. Tell the story you want to do, write or create the sort of dialogue that you want to create in your life. And if you believe in it, it has the capacity to catch on, right? So I would say any sort of innovation happens from that perspective. Whether you are a chef and you're creating a dish that's really unique and authentic to you and it represents your culture and your vision, go for it. If you are, if you're more like an engineer and you're trying to solve a problem because nobody else has figured out a way to make something work technically, or there's something that just could be like the process could be improved. What matters most is you believe in it. Are we getting to like a common thread here? I think we are, which is authenticity, integrity, and belief and conviction. If you've got those things, then other people are just going to connect because you've done the hard work. It's when we do something that we don't believe in that suddenly it's off-putting for other people. There are mixed signals, and it just doesn't work, right? So I think that's going to be some of the best advice I could give you. Here's the cool thing. I mean, there's so many cool things in your reading today. It gets me excited and optimistic about what the next month and a half has in store for you. But there's two that are really cool. We have success here, 3 of Wands, and things that are already happening. And then we have the 6 of Wands here. But this is basically saying, trust in what you believe. Don't bend to other people's will, or don't change something so much that it loses shape or form. And optics and pressure and the sort of like external pressures are what oftentimes happen when we see the 6 of Wands. So if you can avoid that, then again, the sky's the limit for you, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at the environment here. We've got the 3 of Swords. This is your big area of opportunity. Everything so far has been a lot of fun. This is where the work is happening, and let's talk about it. It's good to, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. It's never going to be fear-based, and it's never going to just be Pollyanna, super positive. If there's something we need to focus on, I'll highlight it, and there is here in the environment. So the 3 of Swords. Since it's environmental, this can be your workplace, your family, it could be your relationship, but it's not necessarily you. But what it is it's affecting you because you're still feeling what's going on around you. So if someone around you is grieving or is sad, which is exactly what the 3 of Swords can be, recovery after something disappointing, then watching someone in pain makes you sad. At least most people feel that way. If you're working in a place and the morale is bad, people are sad or angry or fearful, that has an effect on you. If things are going on in your community or your family and it's disruptive or upsetting because the people around you, again, are feeling something that doesn't make them happy, that's important. Some of you are in countries right now where there are wars, and that has an effect on you, obviously. Something environmentally is disrupting all of this other very positive energy otherwise. So what you have to do is decide, what am I going to do about the environmental thing? If it's something that's creating sadness in your heart, that's the most important thing. All the other stuff that we talked about comes second. You have to prioritize the emotional piece first. How can I work through this? How can I work through this emotion? And what am I going to do about it? Because again, the center card was about filtering it through the heart. Something in the environment is upsetting the heart. And so that's what has to shift or change. So if it is a bad job, this is about deciding, all right, it's time to move on. If like me, literally I had tower energy when I was doing the Piscean reading and I was hearing like jackhammers and drills, I thought, all right, it's time to move and I have to change. I also have to change my schedule. We can't sort of ignore the environment. Sometimes it gets so noisy like that you're like, okay, I will make changes. I don't like change, but I have to make change. Even if it means that, I have to change my schedule or change my lifestyle, you have to do that, okay? If you are unhappy in a relationship or doing like what it is that you're doing for a living or something like that, this is also that wake-up call. You have a divine right to not only grow, but experience love and joy and happiness. We sometimes believe that that isn't a priority, but it is. Joy, happiness, and love. Is it in your life? And if it isn't, then when we look at love and relationships here in a moment, I'm going to try to help you sort that out because it is important. And you're not alone, and you have the capacity to experience that joy. So make room and time for the heart space this month. And again, as we look at the expanded forecast in a couple of cards from now, I will help you through that because I want to put an additional lens of, are you happy? How can you be happy? And I may even ask some of that in the reader's question when we get later into this reading here. So first things first, though, we got to finish up what we're looking at. All right, Five of Swords. This has been coming up a lot, and I feel like it's going to be a theme here in this retrograde for many of you. So Five of Swords. I do like that this person's trying to rise above some of the trickiness of the Five of Swords. You can't always win. You can't always please everyone. And try though you may, sometimes you can't get people to listen to you. There are some people that are too stubborn, too old, too kind of like rigid to entertain the thought that they could be wrong or that there could be another point of view. Some people don't like to take responsibility. They externalize that sort of responsibility and they don't want to be the one that has to do the work. And so in those situations, we meet the Five of Swords. There is a difficulty or a wall that pops up with communication. Here's the interesting thing. Unless the Five of Swords as a person is a gatekeeper, you can move around that person. That would be my advice. So if it's just an average person in your periphery, someone around you, my advice would be to seek a different person to talk to. So unless they have the rubber stamp of approval, even if they have that rubber stamp of like approval or denial, you still may need to go around them or may need to get another person to work with you to help communicate that message. Because you and you alone with that one person, it feels to me like the spinning of wheels. The other thing that you can do is pay attention to timing, because sometimes people will go into Five of Swords, particularly when they're unhappy. And that's what we have here is like an environmental or morale issue that can just lead someone to kind of like tune out or turn off their sort of listening capacity. So if that's happening, then you know that it's more than just you, it's something else, okay? It's in hopes and fears, it's avoidable. If you've had people in the past that have kind of like presented that energy of a hard stop or block, and I don't want to hear you la 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 la, like putting cotton in the ears, then know that this isn't indicative of everyone. And when you meet that kind of person, that is a blinking red light that this is not the right place, the right person, the right energetic investment for you. So don't waste your breath. That would be my concise summary of the Five of Swords. It's not worth your time. There's a better way, a better person, something better awaits you, even though it upsets you. So sometimes we even feel this when we go into a business that we've, been a patron of a long time, and, they just don't value your contributions or your time or your energy. You think, okay, I'm going to take my business elsewhere though. And that's your choice. You can vote with your investing energy. Spend your time and energy more wisely. Okay? All right. Your final card here in the spread, which is going to be your outcome, is the Two of Wands. I love the Two of Wands. It's kind of interesting that we sort of see the chopsticks here, and then we still see that crystal or globe sort of energy. But the sampling energy is kind of unique here on this particular card. So to me, it's saying, I have an idea, I have a vision, let me give this a try. Sort of like sampling something on the table, on the buffet. Okay, how about this? How does that taste? How does this feel? Before you fully commit, and also going back to the very final card in my presentation that I was doing for channel messages, if you try to stop the flow of something before it kind of gets out intuitively or channeled energy, then you're doing yourself or that sort of idea a disservice. The most important thing when brainstorming, and there's a bit of brainstorming that is part of the Two of Wands, it's basically just to capture it. Imagine that it's like a journalist, a photojournalist. Your job is to capture the story visually or to capture the shape of it. You take as many pictures as you feel you need to, and then later, nowadays you would just put the chip in the computer and you download it. But whether you're developing the film or you're putting that memory chip in the computer and just kind of getting all the images off of it, you don't need to worry about it until you get to the editing phase. So capture, download, record, then edit and organize. Sample, try, see how it fits together. That's going to help you solve a problem because it could very well come in a way that you least expected it to sort of come through. All right? So that's my advice for this, is to just have fun and capture things and record things and do something in a way that you wouldn't before. However you would normally try to problem solve, do it differently this month. Try something different. Try. And not in the sort of like do or do not, or, there's no try, but I'm saying sample. There is something when you want to try new food. That's where trying is good. You have to attempt or sample or try in that sort of way, and that's going to be significantly important to your success. Let's move into your expanded forecast. We're going to now look at the areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny. I want to also try to help you find the happiness, or find like where we can kind of adjust that Three of Swords, since that was an important piece that presented itself here. We're going to start with health. Health is multi-part. It's going to be mind, body, and spirit. When I look at your health card, we see the community energy that I was talking about. It's reversed, but I want to pull it up right for a moment and just read the caption and see what's on it. So it's actually like a request card here, and it says, "Dear angels, I allow you to support me as I grow and become more spiritually aware." So one thing that you can do this month is to set intentions and speak aloud to the universe. So I was actually doing that this morning, not to prepare for this, but for something else that's going on in my life. I just wanted to state an intention, and part of it doesn't matter what I was asking for. It's more like I said, help me do the work internally to attract this outcome that I'm looking for in my life. And then also show me in no uncertain terms, like incontrovertible sign that this is what I'm looking for. So whatever it is that you're manifesting, could be a job, a house, or a relationship, could be all of the above. Be very clear on the fact that you are the initial magnet and you are the initial thing that needs to be worked on, and then focus on the signs and symbols around you. You can ask the universe for help. So the spiritual support, that's your angels, that's God, that's your spirit guides, that's your higher self. Whatever you connect to and consider divine energy, that's what this is. And because we're looking at Three of Swords here, what will make you happier? And what makes you happy will make you healthier. So are you happy? Is it healthy environmentally? And the two together feed one another. And this is what we need to look at, is something that creates that feeling of satisfaction, fulfillment, and happiness in the environment. for sure. And listen to the guides and to the signposts along the way. All right, let's focus on things that might be going on in your body, in your mind. Again, the two of these often have a connection. I'm here to help you navigate spiritual things that affect health. I am not a doctor, so talk to your doctor if you need help with something that we look at here. But again, I believe that one day in the future we'll look at emotions and spirituality, and we will wonder why we weren't always connecting that to the health issues, because how you're feeling and what's going on in your energy absolutely has an effect on your health. So I'm not here to replace anything. I'm here to kind of help you be your best you. All right, let's look at the cards and see what additional messages are coming through with respect to health. We got to go to the Three of Swords. This is, for some of you, it can be processing grief. It can also be, if you have a family history of things like heart disease, stroke, my mom died of a stroke, blood pressure, or again, sadness or depression, all of those things can be kind of combined in the Three of Swords. What this means is you're going to prioritize being as healthy as you can. So the Three of Swords can be cleared up with talking to other people, taking care of yourself and exercising, because Three of Swords needs an outlet. It needs a release. So exercise is a really good way to get some of that sort of stress out. Talking is a really good way. Art and creativity is a really good way. So whether it's body, mind, or spirit, kind of engaging in those channels for energy is going to be so important to you, because something here needs to be opened up a little bit and healed. And again, looking at anyone that has a history of heart disease or blood pressure or some of those other issues, again, doing some of the natural things for the Three of Swords will also probably help that. But you want to talk to a doctor if anything of that nature is going on. So let's look at some of the other messages here. So that is talking about how being unhappy can also kind of affect the body. So make sure that you're doing what you need to alleviate that. Concentration this month is going to be difficult for some of you. There's a lot to manage. So you don't have to do everything. The two queens can be aspects of your personality. They can also show that you can delegate, and you can have someone in your life take on the role of communication or take on the role of managing and organizing some of this. So ask for help if you need it there as well. But concentration, general sort of heart space energy as well, and happiness, those are the two big things that I'm looking at with respect to your health this month. The good news with all of it is Three of Wands, Eight of Wands, and Six of Wands. That shows me a successful path. Two of Wands as well. When you know what to do and you know how to do it, then everything starts to kind of come into focus and come into play in a way that is manageable. There could be someone in your life that just is creating a headache for you. The Five of Swords can be mom, dad, family member, coworker, doesn't really matter, but a close person that just doesn't like to let you win, wants to kind of get under your skin. And so one of the things that you might be doing this month is just separating yourself from that person a bit, because it's, again, not worth the energetic investment. By and large, though, I like what I'm seeing, and I think you're going to make changes for the better. And once you really know what you're trying to do here with the Two of Wands, the world is your oyster and nothing's going to hold you back. Okay? Overall, great energy. Not a lot to focus on, to be honest with, that you can't manage. Again, the Three of Swords is largely environmental. So when you remove some of the external stresses, everything else starts to get into a better place. Okay, good. Let's take a look at wealth. So we have Emerald Tablet Activation, Cosmic Ordering, Divine Alchemy, Conscious Manifesting. There's a lot to unpackage there. I like Kyle Gray, but this should have been 3 cards. All right, so, but we'll pull it together here. So I'm looking at this emerald energy, and for me, heart space for sure. We got a little bit of the color of my shirt here, so it's also going to be like power, moving these two chakras together. So solar plexus and the heart energy coming together in a really big way here for you. So feeling it, and then also owning that and really putting power into the emotions. That's a common theme for you this month. Cosmic ordering. I talked about cosmic timing, so that's going to be part of it too. The scales of justice are going to come into play this month, and things are going to balance in or balance out, and that's going to be one piece. Divine alchemy. Alchemy is shifting things around, moving them from one thing to another, changing them from, like, you have the capacity as an alchemist, an energetic alchemist, to transmute things around you. So if someone's negative, sometimes you can help them see it from a different perspective. If you're feeling triggered, sometimes you can go into that and think, well, what do I want to do about that? Or why am I feeling that? Or how can I take this and channel it into something else? So it's not so much necessarily about trying to make bad things good. It's about trying to see the blessing in every situation and then use that energy in a different capacity and say, all right, I feel angry. What am I going to do to heal? What am I going to do about that? I'm going to change things around me. I'm going to get inspired and I'm going to help fix the problem. I can still feel that and honor that sort of anger, but I'm going to try to use it as a productive element rather than a destructive element. So using your emotions as inspiration, as motivation, rather than just having them sit and fester. And then conscious manifestation, realizing that you are actively in everything that you do, say, and think, creating your reality. That is the accountability piece, by the way, because we are active participants. There are things that are going on around us, but we are also actively deciding whether we want to continue to engage in it. When I had a really sort of tricky person that was in this is a long time ago when I had a corporate job, it was just creating havoc, and I was talking to a Reiki teacher, and I said, why? And she said, yes, why? Why are you so fixated on them? Why did you call them in? And why aren't you taking accountability for the fact that there's a lesson here? Don't try to sort of demonize this person. They were brought in to teach you. They're teaching you. You're done with the lesson. Figure out what you want to do now to engage in something else. She said, you are just as responsible for this as they are. And I'm like, okay. And I did start to move on from that once I realized that there was permission that was allowing some of that to happen. So I just shifted focus. And the Reiki teacher also reminded me, she said, everything comes from love. Even what's going on with the person that is driving you crazy. And ultimately I saw that there was like jealousy at play, which is a very twisted version of love. And I thought, okay, so instead of this person working on themselves, they're trying to hold me back or block me from my own progress. So I forgive that, but I don't really want to connect to that anymore. So I just focused on other relationships and stopped investing thoughts and energy and time in that person that was jealous. Because we shouldn't have that. A healthy relationship, jealousy is not a part of it. But that helped me understand that I needed to value my time and energy more than trying to deal with someone who was petty, jealous, or angry. And it wasn't my fault. Ultimately, that part wasn't my fault. So I just kind of like moved on and blessed them, and they're no longer in my life, and that's a good thing. And I'm not angry anymore either, because what that person helped me realize is I didn't like where I was, and I needed to do something else. It was like one of 3 steps that got me moving on the path that ultimately got me here. So I'm super grateful at this point. They were a teacher, and they were a catalytic sort of energy that came through to change my perspective. So you never know why something comes into your life. Takes time and retrospect and sort of like consideration to understand that everyone, even or especially the ones that drive us a little nuts, are there for a reason. And think of it more as sort of like a turnstile. You just have to move through that energy. You don't have to change it. That's just someone there to kind of get you to the next level. Let's look at work, and let's see it, work and money and life purpose, and see if there's some additional messages coming through. All right, so I think I've already highlighted this. Whatever you want, it's closer than you think. You're a little busy and potentially distracted to recognize it. So the 3 of Wands could easily go upright if you were to simply focus on 1 or 2 things or tune out the distractions. And also not maybe get lost in the shuffle here. Focus is the key thing on this 8 of Wands. They're not just being thrown up randomly in the sky. Everything is focusing in on one point. So focus, focus, focus. That also is the key to the Magician. So if you do that, then the Magician energy comes in. We talked about the filter of the heart. it's coming through because something's off here. So if you don't like the people that you're working with, the people that are receiving whatever that you're doing, the quality of the work or the project or the energy, something's off. Or are you just needing to heal yourself? Because this sort of rebound energy can take a lot of shapes and forms. So if you lost a job, if you lost someone in your life, if you're just not fully connected, then before you go to the next thing, heal this a little bit, so that, more than a little bit, heal this full stop, so that the next experience isn't kind of like having to work through the scars and the filters of all of this other stuff from the past. I really feel like there's a chance to choose something that brings you more joy when it comes to how you're spending your extracurricular, what you're doing curricular time, what you're doing for a career, or just like what's going on around you. Clear that up so that you are open and happy and liberated and free, and that's going to be so much better, and then you're just going to be like cleaner energetically. Resources are lacking, aren't they? Okay, so we're going to write that down as something to look at. No pentacles at all, right? No pentacles. All right, so I'm going to make sure that we look at it when we go to the reader's choice. You can get resources, though, because the two queens here can help with that. Queen of Swords, Queen of Wands definitely can help by showing and presenting why more resources need to be a part of this. So that's definitely one piece. With Ganesha coming through with the acceptance message here, part of that can also be that you don't have to accept, like I said earlier, something that's not right. So you could push back and say, that's not right, this is what we need to do, etc. Whatever you seek, you have a really good ability to manifest it. So as I've been saying, don't limit. Also with this, don't just do something because others want you to do it. Peer pressure, family pressure, people vicariously projecting their wishes and dreams onto you, you don't have to do that. Your communication will cut through this. So if there is issues going on, if there are issues, I should say, as long as you're able to tap into the emotion of it, one or two bad actors, one or two people will not be enough to kind of hold you back from getting something done. Okay? It's a good month, actually, with respect to making changes. But something in the environment needs to change. There could be one person that's trying to block you, but it won't block the progress. Focus, focus, focus. That's the number one thing that I see as a challenge for you. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead now and move on to love and relationships. So we have two cards that stuck together. Maintaining composure and trusting in the universe. Let's look at these cards upright. So when somebody tries to act a fool, when somebody tries to basically embody the Five of Swords, that's the key. So if someone says something ridiculous, cruel, mean, etc., you will find a way to not sort of like meet them on the same energetic level. You don't want to ignore things because then that enables that behavior, but you do not have to use the same energy that they did or go into the same use the same tools, elevate the tools. So if someone's really just spouting out crazy stuff, what you would want to do, perhaps one tool you could use is say, I hear your frustration loud and clear. I don't think everything you're saying has to do with me. I think a lot of it has to do with other things. Do you want to talk? Maybe I can help you with some of that, because what you're saying, I can't do anything about, and it's not making it easier for me to work with you. But you're in pain. I don't like to see you in pain. I'll try to help you, but we have to change the tone, and we have to kind of focus on things that I can assist with. And that's a nice firm way to say, cut it out. And I'm here as your advocate. But words like cut it out don't really work. So just say, I hear what you're going through and I know you're angry. But just pushing the anger on me isn't going to solve it. So what's going on? What can I actually help you with? That's great. Ask questions. What is this really about? It's not about this. What are you really upset about? and then just pause and hold some space and see what they have to say. Composure is key. We don't always have the composure. Everybody loses their temper. But hopefully you're watching this in advance so that when it happens, you'll take a deep breath, you'll bite your tongue for a second and just say, is this really about this or is there something else going on? Ask questions, buy some time, and see what's going on with them. If something isn't working, it's not meant to work. Sometimes. So let's say, for instance, you were laid off or the job or the company closed. There could, to me, there's not a clearer symbol sometimes that you are now done with that path. The universe said, let me help you. I'm sorry that this happened. Particularly when there's a closure, right? When the company just closed down. There's no way to go back. It wasn't a bias on something else. It's done, or a division shuts down or something like that. The universe, instead of making it a tricky tower, it just closed the door on it and it said, now you've got to find something new. So I'm helping you by making you move on. It's still a tower, but it's a cleaner tower. So trust in that kind of symbol. If something comes into your lap and they say, you're the only one for this job, and they literally use words like that, trust in that too. It can be very positive. If you are getting a clear symbol, go away or come here, listen to the red or the green light. If your heart is telling you, go away or go there, trust that as well. Clear symbols are clear symbols, okay? The universe has your back. So wherever the energetic flow is taking you or pointing you, at least entertain, as we've talked about earlier, that this is where you should or need to be right now. And you'll be fine. And this can actually happen here in relationships as well. So try not to lose your temper in the relationship. And if something wonderful happens, someone asks you out, proposes, someone really expresses their appreciation for you, all you have to do is extend gratitude for that. If something falls apart, if there's a divorce, if there's a separation, if you know that you need to step away from something, if you don't feel it and you're just starting to date someone, trust that, stay composed, and know that this is exactly where you're supposed to be, okay? Let's break it down now and look at those in a relationship, seeking a relationship, or single and happy. If you're in a relationship at present, the good news for many of you is, I feel like you're in a good spot. Best case scenario for existing relationships. The two of you are well met, well matched, because we have two queens, and they're two of the best queen cards too. Not that I pick favorites, but Queen of Wands and Queen of Swords. Organized and great communication. One shows, one tells, but both of them together make a great duo. Now, what's going on in the environment could get in the way here and could break down communication. So all the stuff that I was talking about, like one partner here, it could be the Queen of Swords, ends up saying or doing things, or it could be the Queen of Wands doing things that don't make sense. We're not going to pigeonhole, but something's going on that's not characteristic, and it has to do with the fact that there's an environmental issue. Maybe someone in the family is sick. Maybe work is really stressful. Maybe they're depressed. So you need to get into that energy, because this could take over everything, and we don't want it to do that. Or you could successfully, we have success, success, and success. You could successfully navigate through it. That's the challenge this month. And it really boils down to, if your other half is, I don't like that word, if your partner is, because you are both whole, we need to there is no better half, there is no other half, nobody completes you. Your partner, if your partner's going through something and they are not receptive to your support, or they are not open to that, that's the only thing that could create an issue. But yeah, language has a weird way of getting stuck in our heads. We get trained to say certain things. So I like the word partner because you can infer from that two people are working together and they bring equal energy to the equation. Nobody's the better half. All right, no one's the other half either. No one's half, everyone's whole. And we have two very evenly matched energies here. Your biggest challenge could be your stubbornness, right? So let's see here. Okay. Is there any other message that I want to say for existing ones? Yes. One other thing here is share your vision with your partner, because if you can't share what it is that you truly desire and want with them, who else are you going to share it to? And they're going to be able to help you, because I do believe that the power of two is kind of unstoppable this month. They could help you focus, because this is very scattered and this is very focused. So that other point of view can help bring a focus that you couldn't find yourself. So definitely open up. Discussion is necessary. I think as long as the open heart and open mind is present this month, you can get through it. And there may just be something that they're having a hard time dealing with, and you can help them with that. All right, for those of you that are single but looking, well, look closer. It's within reach. The Three of Wands tells me that there may be someone that you know that knows somebody if you're trying to look for that partnership. By the way, this can also be used for coworkers or business and other things, but whatever it is that you're trying to find, it's just one hop away. It's pretty close. If you're trying to manifest, let's say you're sitting there and asking the universe to bring in a partnership, this is a little scattered. The Seven of Cups in the upright position is a list that's too long, and the reversal is saying, get more to the point, be more concise. I'm not asking you to compromise or to limit yourself. I'm saying, rather than focusing on every little detail, I think the most important thing is to focus on like the key attributes. For instance, I would imagine for many of you, these are things that you'd be looking at. Someone who is emotionally available, someone who is mature, someone who has the resources to take care of themselves and to support me as well. Someone who is not codependent, someone who's independent, et cetera, et cetera. Those attributes are the important ones. You can trust that the look, that kind of stuff, that the universe has a snapshot of that. Just say, something that looks like this, but these are the core things that I'm trying to manifest in a house, in a relationship, in a job. Those attributes will help you, as my cute little puppy in the background comes in, to manifest. Because when I was trying to find Apollo many years ago, actually he's a Taurus, by the way, by adoption date anyway, because he's a rescue. I don't know his exact birth date, but I was trying to manifest a quiet and kind and loving puppy, and one that was intuitive, and he's the quietest dog that I know. Like, he doesn't bark. Have you noticed that? No barking. He doesn't chew things up. He does go crazy with his beds, but that's it. Like, he's very kind. And these were the things that I was looking for in a pet. And then I put some images. I actually had a little mood board of images, and I had like Yorkie, and I had a Lhasa Apso and a Shih Tzu and a Benji type sort of dog, and I kind of got that mishmash. I'm like, I'm kind of flexible on the look. I want something fluffy and scruffy, but I really wanted the attributes, those sort of like core personality things. So if you're trying to manifest anything, person, place, or thing, think about the way it makes you feel. Think about the connection. And then where you're flexible on the visual stuff, it's okay. Don't be surprised if you get a combination like I did of the visual if you're not really clear. If you're clear, just put the one picture on the board, but then focus on the feels of it, how it makes you feel. That's going to be the most important thing in manifesting. By the way, for existing relationships, the same thing is holding true. Your partner needs to know what you want. I joke because I read cards, but like if I have to dig out my tarot deck to figure out what my friends or my partner is thinking, there's problems then. I shouldn't have to go to the cards. We should just have a conversation. So clarify things. Say, I really like this, or I don't like this, or it frustrates me when you say this. So that's for existing partnerships. For those that are trying to manifest, I just went through all the ways that you can do that. Be very clear on what you want, what you're looking for. Okay, that'll help you. As far as what's going on, I think you're very busy. And I think there's a little bit of healing to do. So once you get out of this rebound energy, the rebound can be lost in different ways. So people like me that just went through a loss of a loved one, you could be dealing with that, decompressing and getting out of that energy, because that can constitute a rebound. If you lost a pet, if you lost a job, different types of loss can constitute grief. So just give yourself a chance to get out of that first, to process it, not get out of it, to process it and to recover and to become whole, and then seek it out, whatever you're looking for. And it can happen quickly or it can take time. So just, you'll know in your heart when it's right. But some of you have to deal with that. If it's just a messy environment, like your group of friends or your workplace or whatever, that Three of Swords still needs to be cleaned up as well. All right? That's what's blocking you. I do think you're going to pull in a very even match across the board this month. Partnerships seem very even, and I like that. Again, different ways of communicating. That's going to be the challenge in relationships. Demonstrative versus verbal, like black and white versus I'm showing you, why do we have to talk about it? So that's the one sort of challenge that I see for some of you. I honestly do think that if you're looking for love, it's just around the corner. This is the delay, happiness, emotional sort of like peace in the heart space. And when you can achieve that, the other stuff comes rushing in. If you're single and happy, everything that I said holds true in what I just talked about. I think for you, you're being drawn down this sort of, it's almost like the fast lane. That's what I look at this. So take a moment to slow down and enjoy things a little bit more. Because I see short-term success, long-term success, and then you moving really quickly to the next destination, but take time to smell the flowers, figuratively speaking. It's important. And that's one thing that all the stuff that I went through last month taught me, was just how important every single moment is in time. And so I always took time. Actually, fun fact, fun little thing, and I'm super grateful to both my mom and dad in spirit for doing this, but when I was a little kid, I would make them stop the car to look at wildflowers. I was always kind of like a hippie, earthy child, but I really loved nature. And so I would say, Dad, stop the car. I want to look at that. And I actually had they bought me this book, and I had memorized some of the names of some of the Latin names of flowers. So one of my potential paths that I was considering as a kid was to maybe go into botany or horticulture or maybe forestry or something like that, because I really loved the environment and I loved wildflowers. I love looking at things on the side of the road. So now when I hike, that's why I'm always taking pictures of stuff. I have a little patio garden and everything like that. Taking time to smell the flowers is something that I've always done. And it really kind of grounds you. It's something that I passed on to my mom before, and she did until she died as well. She would take pictures of things. I said, look up, look down, look around, take a moment. So when she was having a stressful day, I would remind her to tune into what's going on around her. So the same advice that I would give to my parents, I would give to you, which is just slow down a little bit. And now I try to spend some time with my puppy here. I say puppy, now he's almost 7 because I got him 4 years ago and he was already 1 or 2. So I know that, never know how many days you have with anything in this planet. So I take extra time with Apollo now. So spend some time to really be fully present, okay? That's why I love plants so much. But I realize that's the sort of heart space energy too that opened up. So I have green thumbs, green heart kind of energy that goes into everything, but I've always liked nature. So take some time to slow down. That's the image that the guide showed me, was the wildflowers. So do that and you'll be okay. All right. Because all the other stuff, it's going to happen quickly. I feel like you're on a fast track, Aries. I don't know what you've been doing, but I'm happy for you. I feel like the next destination's rushing toward you. So just embrace and enjoy this moment. Because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to look back and think, that was pretty cool. I wish I could have been a little bit more present, but you won't now, because you will be present rather, because we had this little chat today. And aren't you glad that we did? All right, let's move on to your destiny cards here. Not destiny, yeah. Health, wealth, love, and destiny. Yes, got to focus. All right, you got 2 cards here for destiny. So destiny for me, it's kind of nice that we just looked at this 8 of Wands card. This is where you're headed. You get to change this. So when we come to the planet, we create milestones, certain things that we're going to experience. So for some of you, it may be something like, I'm going to overcome poverty, or I'm going to overcome diversity issues in my life. I'm going to experience a lot of things with love and relationships so that my heart becomes stronger. Whatever it is, we have some milestones, we have some lessons that we choose, but we have a ton of free will. And we get to choose when we've had enough of those lessons, and we can also take a 180 or 90 or a 180 and basically decide, I want to do more of this, or I'm going to go back and re-experience some of that because I'm not done with that. So you get to choose. You're not stuck on certain paths or lessons. So with that in mind, we have two messages. The first one is the firefly. So the firefly reminds you that you have to send out the beacon. You have to ask sometimes in order for the universe to answer or to supply. The firefly lights up as a mating call, okay? And so when I look at this, it's saying, I'm ready for this. I want this. I desire this. Not like I need or must have it. It's more like I've created space in my life now. Come on in. If you build it, they will come, right? So build and hold space for that which you seek, and then have a little conversation with the divine and say, now is the time, but let's elevate it to the highest possible version of what I'm trying to accomplish. So say now, but say the best version that can come through so that you're never settling. So if you're ready, and just kind of like do a canvas. It's like if you're looking for a house or something, you're gonna have a timeline and a budget, but you want to find the best. Put the filter out for the best, but you have to hire the agent, right? So that would be stage one, or contract the agent or whatever. For the universe, you have to just say, I am open, and then literally be open to receiving that. Because if you say it but you don't believe it, or you say it but you kind of ignore it when the signs pop up, then you're giving mixed signals. You're turning off when you should be sort of turning on the energy. The stingray, for me, is a flexible metaphor here because it kind of can glide through the water. It does have that sort of deadly sort of stinger at the end there. So one thing that you want to do is try not to get in the way of something happening. Sometimes our actions or our voice can come back to haunt us. So just like the talking cricket in the original Pinocchio, words or actions can come back. So make sure that everything you do and say doesn't come back to sting you. It's going to only elevate and support whatever path you're on. That's the messages that I get with these two symbols. I like both of them. They're both powerful. This one is like a lighthouse. This one's flexible and also carries with it that subtle sort of message like, don't mess with me. And good leaders have a little bit of that authority too. Like, what I say is what I say. And you don't have to sort of use that stingray sort of stinger, but it's good to sort of let people know that you could. You're not threatening. It's just sort of like, I know how and where to sort of use my power, and I'm not going to go there. I could, but I'm not going to go there. But that's sort of like the interesting dance with leadership. Having authority, being able to sort of like use that energy, but never having to go there. It's like good parents will step into a room, look at their kid, and the kid knows that, okay, I can't do this. I'm not going to get away with it. And I don't want to deal with what will happen if we have that conversation. A look can be everything. And the way that you hold yourself and the way that you communicate can carry with it deeper connotations and deeper energy. Good stuff. All right, let's go into your big idea for this month. Your big idea is going to be something that can help you really focus. And with this Eight of Wands energy, it's how can we get to that horizon? How can we get to that point where everything is looking good? Let's take a look here. Interesting. All right, so for many of you, you're already, before we look at the blessings and the blocks, I can see a challenge coming through in the big idea. First of all, you are not impervious to or resistant to all the stress going on around you. You're also not responsible for everybody around you at all times. Everybody has the capacity on some level to take care of themselves. So one thing that you can do is to empower, maybe on some levels expect, and support the independence of these other people. Because in this Nine of Swords, in a way that we don't see in other cards, you can see the chords that are coming through. So each one of those sort of red lines is like a cord of energy that you're connecting to from someone else. So sometimes we take on the energy of mom, brother, sister, friend, coworker, and we feel like, oh, I'm worrying about this. I'm sure some of you know worry warts in your life where they just sit there and they worry and they worry and they worry. So this month I'm encouraging you to unplug and think to yourself, this person's strong. They'll come to me if they need help. This person never listens to me anyway, the Five of Swords person. This person has a strong head on their shoulders. I think they can get through it. And this person always says what they need. So like, just trust that the people will come to you if they need to. And then, by the way, at a certain point, you're like a battery that's on 1% when you have this. It's like the phone where, you know, if you don't plug in right now, it's going to be too much. Yesterday, I was really tired and I had to take a very long nap. I was like, I need to go to bed now because I've been getting up early and I thought, I have to go to bed now. I took a nap and then I went to bed really early. I feel like the people that are on TV because I have to go to bed at like 8 or 9 o'clock to get up at 3 in the morning. So if you're on empty, don't deplete your resources. I'm looking at the Nine of Swords very much as a resource card this month, which I normally wouldn't, but it's the emotional piece of it. You're tapping into too many things. So cut off some of those sort of resource siphons and allow yourself to just recharge. And you can't worry about everything. It's not healthy. It's not productive. Quality of sleep, also very important. Quantity to some level too, because you do need a small, not a small, there's a minimum amount that's required. And if you're not getting that minimum amount, then you're not going to be capable of doing what you need to do. Okay. All right. Let's look at your blessings and your blocks. Just like they sound, they can help or they can hinder. Let's take a look at these cards and see what the messages are. Blessing. Block. So interesting that we've got the High Priestess there. Okay. So, hello to our first card that I was looking at in the presentation here, the Fool. So we're going to pull the slide up for a second just to review what I talked about earlier for those of you that just joined. And even for me, it's a good review. So I mentioned earlier when I was doing channel messages, oops, not that, wrong one. I looked at this sort of Fool energy. So we have the Fool here. And what I love about this particular Fool card is take a look at how this Fool is like leaping over things, really has the energy of the cricket, right? What I was talking about here in the channel messages, I said, it's easy sometimes to dig your feet into what was or what you think needs to be. But you really have the capacity right now to move forward just by taking with you life's experiences. The Fool doesn't carry this heavy burden with them. Travel lightly, stay open to new experiences, look in all the different sort of perspectives and directions. Now looking specifically at this one, we see that the leap happens faster and easier, and maybe you feel this sense of exhilaration once you do it. This reminds me of, I've talked about it before, but What Dreams May Come. It's sort of like when the character of Robin Williams is first passing into the energy of spirit. So he dies and he's a spirit. He kind of moves around like a painting and he's blurred. Even his spirit guide kind of looks like that at first too. So when we step into something new, the details very rarely show themselves to us, in part because if we take a metaphor from What Dreams May Come, we're not ready. That's why he couldn't see things. He couldn't see people around him and other things. And even when he saw people, they weren't what he thought they were. So looks can be deceiving, and the Fool can be foolish sometimes. And everything that I just talked about by taking time to smell the flowers ties into that. And also, if you look at the movie, the trees and the flowers are really important to sort of like that story as well. So pay attention to what's going on around you. Things are better than you think, and there's more accessible to you than you think. And again, taking a little bit of a piece from that story, he was already surrounded by the love that he was looking for. So there is some really cool stuff that's happening. It's happening now. The 0 of the Fool is a reset. All you need to do is reset expectations, and you're going to see it differently. And just like if I put these glasses on, I can suddenly see everything clearer. Sometimes we just need to change our perspective, right? Okay. So now, things are happening now. There's just a mental reset that needs to happen. Things will come into focus when you're ready to see them. So the sooner you can open up to that and put on these sort of like energetic glasses, the better it will be. What's blocking you? You're not trusting your intuition. There's something that you already know, but you don't trust. Your block this month could come when you realize that if I don't do this now, I'll regret it. Or if I keep doing this, I'll also regret it. Like there's something that needs to change. You either need to start or stop something. Even though we don't have the death card or the world card coming through here, that doesn't mean that that energy still isn't permeating this, because the Fool still carries with it ends and beginnings. I mean, you have to go through the energy of transformation to go from the World to the Fool anyway. So I would just say death is the sort of elephant in the room here. So there's something that needs to change. And once the change happens, growth and expansion happens. So trust in the timing, trust in the message, trust your intuition and your instincts. It's when you don't trust it that you get blocked, or that something happens and you wish that it didn't. So, okay, that's a very easy message. Let's take a look at viewer's choice and reader's choice right now. I already know, I think, what I want to look at because I wrote it down earlier. I'm going to look at resources for you. So let's give you some options to vote on some things. So let me grab my keyboard here and I'll give you some choices. All right, how's everybody doing? I hope you're enjoying the reading. Really beautiful energy today. All right, viewer's choice. I may not love getting up early, but it is really peaceful. I will say that. Okay, so looking at the cards here, let's give you a quick view of what I'm looking at. All right, the first thing that I want to look at is how to stay focused, because we have a couple cards of focus here. The next one that I want to look at is cleaning up the environment. And then I also think here, trusting your intuition, we just talked about that, would be really helpful. Let me give you a few options today, one more. And let's see. Okay, yeah, seeing something clearer. And really what this is about is seeing something that's under your nose. I'm going to put that, you know what I'm talking about with that. I'm talking about seeing something that's already there. Hidden blessing, there we go. Seeing hidden opportunity. There we go. You have tough choices to make today. Go for it. I try to make it difficult sometimes because I want to give you the best possible things that we can there. All right, so have some fun voting while I'm doing this. I'm going to take a look at why was there no resource card. So again, if you just joined, we're taking a look at viewers and readers' choice. Let me turn the camera down for a second so we can really take a look at this stuff here and see what's coming through. All right, resources, where are you? Okay. Let's look at this, and then I'll take a look at whatever it is that you voted on for me. All right, so we have the Nine of Wands, and the Nine of Wands was reversed. Interesting, as we look at this, I was talking about how a cricket makes noise. There's these little combs on its wings that it kind of rubs together. This looks a lot like that, making noise. But anyway, Nine of Wands. So part of it I'm going to pull, even though we're looking at wands, I do think it's worth making a little bit of noise and collaborating with some other people to kind of get that. So part of this might be corralling the collective energy around you to get behind it, because then it's not just your voice, it's a chorus of voices. So because of the channeled message, I'm going to read this card in a super abstract way. Also, this is a very abstract interpretation of the Nine of Wands anyway. So you're just one of the many voices here. And what you have to do is organize the vision here. The Nine of Wands is a card that doesn't relent. It doesn't give up. So getting a bunch of people to ask collectively, like, we need more help, we need more time, we need more money. That's step one. The other thing is to push until you get what you need. So if at first you don't succeed, try again, and try many different channels. The Nine of Wands tells me that even if you don't have what you need, you'll still get it done because you're persistent. It just may take more time. I've talked about, like, when we're looking at business, there are like 3 things that you have to look at. It's basically time, budget, and scope. So the scope might need to be reduced, or the budget may need to be reduced, or the time. If you can't, like, if you need to get everything done and it's sort of like budget and time have to stay the same, then, I'm sorry, like a budget and scope have to stay the same, then the time will just take longer, because you can still get it the same amount of financing each quarter. It's just going to take you more years to finish what you're trying to do. So present that option to the people that maybe want it done in an unrealistic point of time. You could say, if we try to do it without the money, it's just impossible because there are only so many people. So you need to either reduce how much you want me to do, or we'll just do it in phases or do it over time. It's easy. We're all human and we can only do so much. Lay out what this means and show them what they have to give up. Make it hard on them and say, I know you care a lot about this and this, but we can't do it if you want me to do that. We can only do this. And they'll say, well, I don't want to give up that. Well, show some money. Make it compelling for them. Be a little bit pushy in the best possible way, because this is a pushy card. Nine of Wands reversed particularly. 10 of Wands reversed is going too far. 9 of Wands is saying, I'm not going to give up. Neither are you. You're going to see it from my point of view. And it's not as dismissive as the 5 of Swords. It is a persuasive card. So find your persuasion, keep pushing, push until you find the right person. I feel like you'll be able to get what you're looking for. You just have to present why it's so ridiculous for them to kind of go down this present path. All right. So let's take a look now at what you've chosen for me. We have a clear winner, seeing the hidden opportunity. Great choice. Just to kind of like refresh why I chose this one, we have the 3 of Wands at the center, reversed, it's hidden. And some of you are distracted, so I want to kind of help you focus. So you chose a really good choice. All right. Let's take a look and see what is the hidden opportunity, how can you see it, how can you embrace it, etc. All right, King of Wands in reverse is a very stubborn card. All right, so I can already give you some clarity on this one. First of all, it's the ultimate boss card, maybe next to the Emperor. So penultimate then. So second biggest leadership card that you can get. But it is very stubborn, very stuck, very close-minded, and very sort of like black and white. So I often like to say believing is seeing, but disbelieving is blindness. You can actually create 8 and or 2 of Swords by not opening up to a different idea or believing that it's impossible. So don't believe it's impossible until you're proven that it's impossible. And I don't want you to do something ridiculous, but let's just say you're trying to, using the example of that author that now has like a hit show on Netflix. I did some research on how she did it. She's like, I just wanted to do it myself. And then because my vision was clear and everything, like then something came my way. But sometimes when you're hit against, like, I don't want to go down this path because it's going to be difficult, but I think there might be another opening. Let's try this. So move around it. And then sometimes your original dream still comes through. So try all of the options and try the one that avails or opens itself up and is the most inviting to you. Just because everybody else did it this way doesn't mean that that's you. Find another path. Find another way. Find a way. Because I do believe that when we truly want something, the heart finds a way. The universe helps us find a way. You can find a way too on this. But the biggest thing here is don't dismiss a possibility. Don't dismiss a path. Don't disbelieve in something. That's like a double negative, but you know what I'm saying. Give yourself a chance to believe in something long enough that it can actually manifest. There you go. That's a more sort of clear way to look at it. At least give it room to breathe and to grow. Like a sapling that's just been planted, it's not going to grow into a tree overnight. Or if you've cut something as a plant, you're propagating it, the roots have to form, then you have to put that in the dirt, then you have to water that, then they have to get established, then it has to put out some new leaves. It takes time, folks. So the growth and the movement, it won't happen overnight, and it may not happen in the way that you expected, but it may happen in precisely the form and timing that it needed to. So just stay open. You're either overthinking it or closing off to something. So have a different perspective and look at it from a different angle. Also, someone may be showing, not telling. This again is super quiet. So there could be something subtle going on around you. The hidden opportunity could be someone that's kind of like figuratively and energetically waving their hand, but they're trying to show you like through body language, or they may be like sending you things, or there's someone that's non-verbally giving you cues and hints. And that's something you want to pick up on as well. Okay? All right. I will update this today, but the next piece we're going to do is the special portion that I added by popular demand, which is sun, rising, and moon messages. So a reminder that you can always use this for any aspect of your chart, including Venus and other placements, but these three tend to be the most popular. So I'm going to focus on one card for each so that you can fine tune everything that I said, like this is the cherry on top. Okay. So let me pull the cards first and then we'll break it down aspect by aspect there. Sun, rising, moon. Okay, let's begin with sun sign specific messages. So this is the default that you would kind of be looking at for any of these readings. The sun sign is the sign that you're born under. It tends to show the typical energy of who you are at your core. This one is really about you reclaiming your power. And for some of you, kind of like getting back on track. I'm looking at this chariot and I'm looking at how the horses are almost sort of like superimposed. So I would say for you, you're nobody's fool. You're your own fool. You're your own boss. And I think for some of you, it's just about deciding like, I choose this. Maybe literally saying it, or as we were talking about earlier when it comes to manifestation, saying to the universe, I am now all about this. I'm ready to see this. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to receive this. I am. Putting the I am and then owning whatever the fill in the blank is. And then realizing that as a part of that, there is accountability, there is boss energy, which is also part of the chariot card, and you are the one that makes it happen. Even if you're not carrying the title of manager or boss. When it comes to the sun sign part of your chart, you are the boss. So be that strong energy, be the organized one, be clear, clarifying that, owning that, that's going to make things happen. Looking at a retrograde sort of energy, power struggles are what's coming through this month. So don't let someone take your sort of like your thunder or your moment or your ability to kind of step into your power. That's the big lesson this month. You're going to be fine based on all of the cards that we were looking at today. Let's move to rising or ascendant. Usually this is how we present ourselves to others. So for many of you, this is going to show up in work. This is going to show up in also just sort of like public sort of display of your energy. So for those of you that are looking at this in rising or ascendant, your success is often tied to this sort of energy. Good news for you, you've got the Four of Wands coming through here. So people are seeing you as someone that they want to connect with. I want to be your friend. I want to, maybe for some people, they want to be more. They want to hire you or they want to date you, etc. This is a very, very, very good card to show up in the ascendant. For you, all you need to do is hold space for that person to come in. What you say to yourself and to your guides and higher self rather is, I'm ready to receive this higher energy and this respect and this collaborative sort of energy. I'm going to hold space for it and wait for something of that integrity to come through. when I was manifesting, he's now in the other room. When I was manifesting Apollo, I did not, I waited 2 years actually. I thought when my mom was alive, I asked her, I said, what do you think? I think I want to get a dog. She said, when the time is right, you'll know. And I agreed. And I thought to myself, all right, I did all the manifestation. I put up the sort of mood board, and then I just lived life. And then one day I woke up and I thought, it's time now. And I wanted to kind of like work for a couple of years on my own because I quit my job. So he was in 2017. So 2015, I wanted 2 years on my own before I adopted a pet to make sure that this was going to be the path and everything. So it's not always overnight. The holding space could be now a beginning of something that could take a year or two, or it could just take a few weeks. It's up to you. Set your intentions. I was busy with other things, so it wasn't a burning desire. It was just sort of like, I know a pet is the next phase here for me. I need to have a dog. And I never had the chance to do it when I had a traditional job. So figure out what you want and when you want it, and then hold some space, and you'll get it. And also right now in the short term, people are very attracted to your energy. So it's good for networking. You should definitely be saying yes to networking invitations and any chance to sort of like do coffee or catch up with people. It will open up new things for you. Moving on to moon. This is the sort of tricky part where we don't always show it. It's sometimes our hopes and fears. It's sometimes the piece of ourself that we haven't yet sort of fully embraced. So this is an area of opportunity to expand. Oftentimes it does end up playing out in relationships, but we have the Hermit reversed, which is saying, all right, I think I'm ready to show my true self, but it's so comfortable being in this hermit shell that I don't know if I want to do it. So the Hermit's got his flashlight or his lantern here, but when it's reversed, it's saying, I know I'm ready for that star or world or full energy, which all happens when the Hermit releases his true light, but it's comfortable to be where you're at. So you are being asked to, all of my Aries moon, you're being asked to step outside of your comfort zone and just be yourself, be raw, be honest, be real, and trust that that's going to be a-okay and more than enough for anybody that truly wants to connect with you in their life. And it will be, okay? Good stuff. All right, so we're going to move on in just a moment to the meditation and the final card, which is coming up. And the final card is your chance to ask a question of me silently, and I'll read it. If you haven't already subscribed, I do implore this month, if any, I know most of you that are chatting, you've already done it here, but for those of you that watch this on replay, hit the subscribe button and definitely hit the bell. And I don't usually say it with that much conviction, but my times are changing a little bit because of construction. This will help you know. Also, it's free and it helps the channel. And if you watch all the time and you don't do it, it actually hurts the channel. So help me out by hitting those things, and then we can stay in touch. Easy peasy. All right. You can also join me on social media. I'll do my best to communicate upcoming schedules and all of that there as well. Reminder that it's always my name. I'm never going to reach out directly to you. This is the only place that we connect. So avoid any of the imposters out there. Feel free to give back a little bit if you'd like to. It definitely helps me do more here. So thank you in advance. And sometime this week, hopefully by tomorrow, I will put up the new schedule, and it will just be on my main website. All right, let's go ahead and prep for the meditation, and then we'll wrap up with the final card. I'll give you a chance to vote on the instrument while I'm getting everything set up. And as I look at it, I think we're going to work with the energy of the cricket. I mean, I like it. So maybe we'll work with that. All right. So by the way, you can do a singing, you can vote for a singing bowl or a crystal pyramid. Either one of these is fine for the instrument. Okay. So close your eyes, please. And I'll just kind of go with whatever it is. You know what? I actually think I want to work with the energy of the firefly here because I like that. All right. So let's imagine that it's spring or summertime, even though I know many of you in some of the southern hemisphere regions are going through a different part of the year. Just imagine it's summertime. Summertime is a great energy. You can smell the sort of flowers that are native to wherever you live. The scent that comes to mind for me is something really, really sweet, like honeysuckle or lavender or something just very pleasant. So that's gently lacing the air. And this is just at the point of sunset. So there's this cool breeze that's sort of coming through the forest area that you're in, like a nice gentle breeze that's pushing up that warmer air. And you're in a beautiful space where it's almost like a horseshoe. So there's this horseshoe clearing where you can see the water, you can see the mountains, you can see things around you, and you have a place where you can sit. Maybe there's a bench there, and you're just kind of taking in the energy around you. As you look to your right and to your left, you can see these beautiful fireflies or lightning bugs, whatever you want to call them. But if you've never seen them, or except only seen them in movies, basically they kind of go up, and you can see it's almost like they're shooting stars in reverse. They kind of move and dance around. And imagine now that there's this sort of energy of infinity as they start to dance around your body. And you look up at the sky and you can see the twinkling stars above. You can see the stars shining on the ocean or the water in front of you. And now you have all of these twinkling lights around you as well. This starts to inspire the light within you. And just like the color of my shirt, you see this beautiful yellowish glow coming from within your solar plexus, your heart, your throat. It's basically pushing itself out in all directions. And just like the firefly, there's a kind of like pulsing energy with it. With each beat of your heart, it gets a little bit brighter, and then eventually it just becomes light and solid. And essentially what's happened is you're going from the hermit to the star. You're taking that lantern from within and shining it outward. And in this moment in time, I want you to realize that there is beauty in the authenticity of you. You're more than enough. You have the ability to bring in whatever it is that you seek. All you have to do is sit in that light and enjoy. So allow yourself to be bold and strong and bright and light. And I'm going to take a moment here and play the singing bowl. And then we're going to come back and look at your final question for me. Take a nice deep breath. Feel the energy of just this sort of like, it's almost like you've lit up every single cell in your body, and you feel this warmth and kindness and unconditional love basically rolling through every cell, every fiber of your being. And carry with you that sort of light energy as you go through today, thinking, I can do this. Whatever comes my way, I can do this. Now, think about what it is that you would like me to look at, whatever it is in your life that you need a little bit more clarity, a little bit more understanding on, and I'll do my best to help you break down that final question. All right, so we have the Seven of Wands coming through. Definitely a good message with this one. The good news with this is it tells me that you can manage anything that comes your way. There's always an opportunity with the Seven of Wands to think about the expenditure of time and energy. Do you need to work so hard? Do you need to carry so much on your plate? Usually the answer to this is you have the capacity to push back a little bit if you want to. So don't be afraid to say no, say not yet, ask for help, all the things that we kind of talked about today. If you can't get the assistance that you need, you can make things happen. So the Seven of Wands is a pushy card, is a It's a good card for kind of being able to kind of move through anything. But sometimes with the card in reverse, there's a warning. So the one thing that I'd like to put out there to kind of help you with is you do not have to get like overly defensive or compensate for something more than you need to. This is basically saying be more at ease. You know, the composure message that we had here, these two messages when we were looking at love definitely play a part here. Trusting the universe and having composure, because sometimes people just test you to see how you feel, not because they don't believe in you. They believe in you, but they want to see if you believe in yourself. So when this happens, you do not have to overly defend. You just have to say, no, that's what I want. There's no question about that. Do you have a specific question, or is there something you're concerned about? Because I'm feeling very good about this. And oftentimes people say, no, just wanted to see. So you don't have to overly compensate or defend. If someone puts you on the defensive, this is again where you want to go to the facts, and you want to make sure that you don't say or do something so hastily that you end up regretting or wanting to kind of go back and backtrack a bit, okay? But usually Seven of Wands is very positive. It's saying that the persistence and the pushiness of it will help you get to the next level, and then you just don't want to like overdo, kind of having to like over-explain everything, and I think that will be key. All right, good energies across the board. Great month for you. I feel very optimistic about where you're headed, and this has been one of the most enjoyable Aries readings, at least this whole year so far. So I hope that you enjoy the next period of time here. I will be live later this week. Just a quick reminder, next up are Taurus and Gemini, so that'll be Thursday and Friday. I think I put the Taurus video so you can set the reminder on my main YouTube page. I'll make sure that I do Gemini and the Weekend Collective as well, so you can set those reminders. And I will put my schedule up. All times are subject to change, but will probably be at 6 o'clock for the rest of this month. Construction normally starts right around now, like 8:30. So I'm trying to get ahead of it so that I can just deliver quality readings. So much easier to do that than to try to deal with noises. So thanks for your cooperation. I have not had to change the date or time. I'm sorry, the time for like 7 years or 8 years. So it's frustrating, but hopefully people will find me at the different time and then adjust when I go back to the regular time. All right, let's take a moment to say thanks to those of you that were able to give back a little bit today. I want to say first, thank you to all of the old familiar faces. Good to see you today, and I appreciate the suggestions for the decks today. I'm glad that we went down the path of Fountain. It brought some beautiful energy today, so always good to try something different or to use something that hasn't been in rotation for a bit. All right, give me just a moment here. I'm going to say thanks to the brand new members here, anyone that's joined in the last day or so. So give me a second to get this pulled up here. All right, I'd like to begin with Scott Golan. Thank you so much for rejoining. Holly R., Lori Carpenter, Wendy Wright. Let's see, Anna, thank you very much. And I think, no, there's still a couple more. Stacia Purrier, Donna Green. Let's see, Shannery V, and that's it. That's everybody from today, because I remember Shannery from the weekend. All right, so let's go ahead now and say thank you to anybody that gave back with a super sticker or super thanks. Beginning with Kimmy, thanks for kicking things off today. April Rain, Maria Doswell, April Galwick, thank you for the 2 in a row. Kakli and Stacy, I'm sorry, thank you so much. And let me see if I missed anybody. No, I think I got everybody today. Crystal Azure, slightly late there, so thank you so much. Good to have all of you here. I hope that you're enjoying the month so far, and I appreciate your presence and your patience as well. All right, take care of yourselves. Do something fun, and remember that it's important to prioritize your happiness. More than anything this month, you really need to find a way to clear out that heart space so that you can just propel to that beautiful path on the horizon, okay? Lots of love and light, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and have a great week and a great month ahead. Bye-bye.